Hey everyone, glad to be back in another video. I hope that you guys are having an amazing day. I'm pretty sure that at some point in your life, you might have used the speech recognition feature which is available in your mobile phone or laptop. For example, you must have said, "Okay Google, hey Siri, what is the weather today?" Or you might have said how to learn programming or how to impress. You can fill this blank for yourselves. But have you ever thought of creating a game using this speech recognition feature? Sounds crazy, right? But let me show you an interesting game that I have created using the AI mode in Avishkar MakerBoard Simulator. So let's have a look at it. So guys, this MakerBoard will actually pick a word for you and display its characters one by one in a jumbled format. For example, if you push the W button on this MakerBoard, you can see O, Y, B on its LED matrix. Now this is the jumbled form of a word. You have to unjumble it and say the correct word. Now let's try to figure this out. What could OYB mean? I'm pretty sure that you might have seen Kaun Banega Crorepati, so let me give you 4 options. Option A, YOB, Bob. Option B, OYB. Option C, BOY. And option D, BYO. So I'm pretty sure you might have figured this out. Let's select option C and what happens. So let's click on this mic button and say, boy.
7 crore!
7 crore! Oh, sorry. For a moment I actually thought that I was hosting the show myself. So as soon as you say the correct word, all the LEDs on the LED matrix turn green. Isn't it fun? As a maker, I'm pretty sure that you guys are curious how I made this project. So to be honest, this journey involved a lot of experimentation, trial and error, but at the same time, I had a lot of fun. So let's take a walk and see how it all started. So guys, it all started one lazy evening. I was staring at my MakerBoard, wondering what cool projects I could make this time. I had worked on a lot of projects, but I wanted to try something different, a little bit more challenging, and that's when it hit me. What if I created a game? Not just any game, but one that used all the cool features of Avishkar MakerBoard, like its LED matrix, its buttons, and even the speech recognition feature. A game that forces you to think, speak, and react. And that's when the idea of jumbled game was born. So are you ready to take this roller coaster ride with me? Let's go! Alright, so here I am sitting on my chair and we are into the programming mode. Let the magic begin. So now you have to open your web browser and write ams.avishkar.cc. This will redirect you to the simulator and just make sure you are logged in with the website. So now we have to go to this AI and machine learning mode, select the product as MakerBoard, and we have to go into the speech recognition mode. So now this project requires a lot of extensive processing on string, which can't be done in our block mode. So for that we have to go to the text coding mode. Let's click on it and click on its switch button. And here we are in the text programming mode. So guys, the first challenge was not a difficult one. It was quite simple. All we had to do was write a very small piece of code that would have helped the MakerBoard to pick up a word randomly from the jumbled word list. And the solution is very simple. If you look closely at the default imports, you'll see that the random module is already imported. And all you have to do is use the choice function, which helps you to pick up a word randomly from a list. And this part needs to be repeated again and again. So that is why we have also used a while loop. Let's see the code and its execution in action. So guys, if you look at this piece of code and the following output, you'll be able to figure out that we created an unjumbled word list with 3 words initially: cat, bat, and boy. And we have a jumbled word list as well with the jumbled form of words like TAC for cat, ABT for bat, and OBY for boy. And inside the loop, we are picking random words and printing them on the console at an interval of 1 second. So you can see that OBY, ABT, OBY, TAC are words that are being picked up randomly and printed again and again. So guys, the next challenge was an interesting one. The problem with this part is that the random words are being printed at an interval of 1 second automatically. But I want all of this to happen at a trigger. For example, if I press the W button on MakerBoard for a very short duration, then only this execution should happen. So now I was confused that in blocks mode, it was quite simple. All you have to do is just go to the button context, drag out the block and use the button press part. But in the text mode, it was very tricky. So let me tell you the secret how I found the right function. So you have to click on this API documentation button, go to the button class and look for the correct function. So you will find is button press function. Now this function take two arguments. One is the key and second is the duration for which the button is pressed. And that's how I found the right function for it. Let's see the code integration and execution in action. And now you can see that whenever I press the W button, only then the words are picked up randomly and printed on the console. So that is how we solve the challenge number 2. Alright guys, so the third challenge was of pre-triggered button presses. So before I deep dive into this challenge, I actually want you what's happening on the level of program. So you can see that before I even started the program, that is I didn't even hit the play button, but the maker board was picking up words randomly and printing them on the console without any button push. So I was quite confused that why exactly this is happening, and trust me, this is a very tricky challenge. So I did a little bit of research and I came to know that while writing the code, I pressed W button a lot of times on the keyboard, and that actually got stored as button pushes on the maker board. So it was like a pre-triggered button, and as soon as I hit the play button, the execution which was related to W button press took action. So now that you know the problem, the solution is pretty simple. Before we jump into our main while loop, I wanted to rectify or I wanted to ignore all the button pushes. So I added a simple if statement that if W button or A or S or D button is pressed for a short duration, we'll simply do nothing. So I wrote a pass statement. Let's see the code and execution in action. So now it's rectified and you can see that only when we press the W button for a very short duration, we get a random number on our console at an interval of 1 second. So let's move on to the next challenge. Alright guys, so this challenge was an amazing one. Now that we have picked up our jumbled word randomly, the next task was to print each and every character of this jumbled word on the LED matrix one by one. So for that, we actually used a for loop which helped us to iterate through each and every character of this random word, and we used the show character function which I found in the API documentation. So now this show character function actually takes three things: the character, the color and brightness. So the character part was handled by the for loop. The color is set to white. All the RGB values are 255 and brightness is set to 100. And after an interval of 1 second, we are clearing the display. So let's see this code and its execution in action. So guys, whenever we press the W button, the random word that gets picked was A, B and T. Isn't it amazing? Alright guys, so this challenge was the most difficult one. I'll tell you why. Because this challenge actually had two sub-challenges. So the first sub-challenge was to figure out the right function which would have helped me to capture the speech from the user. And this was a very simple one, to be honest, because I got a very straight up function from the API documentation. So if you go to the API documentation and under the AI class, you'll find the get recognized speech function. So this function will actually help you to capture the speech from the user and convert it into text. Now coming on to the second sub challenge, once you have the speech as well, but now what is the unjumbled word? With which word you'll compare the speech? So now, because my maker board picked the jumbled word, not the unjumbled word. So that is where I had to put my mind into a little bit of action, and I figured it out that if I could just get the index number of that jumbled word, using the same index number, I would be able to get the unjumbled word as well. So using the index function, I got the index number of the jumbled word, and using that, I got my unjumbled word as well. So let's see the code and execution in action. Alright makers, so from this output you can clearly see that whenever I press the W button, a random word ABT was picked up. Now ABT, what could it mean? So yes, it's bat. So let me turn on my mic and say bat. Now you can see that if I say bat, I get this phrase working printed on the console. Let me just try it with a different word. Let's press W again. So you can see ABT is picked up again. And now let's say cow. So you can see that both of these comparisons are not same, and that is why we get not working printed on the console. Alright guys, coming to the last challenge. I was not very fond of printing these statements like working and not working. I wanted to do something which was little bit more exciting. So for that I thought of why not turn on all the LEDs on the matrix to green if we set the right word, and if we set the wrong word, let's turn it to red. So now the major challenge was to figure out a function that would have helped us to do so. So don't worry about it, simply go to the API documentation and you'll find the show LEDs function, which actually took two arguments. One was the LED list, the color state of all the 25 LEDs, and the other one was the brightness level. So in case when the evaluation was right, which means I predicted the right word, so I specified the color as green. The red value was 0, green value was 255 and the blue value was 0, and this was same for all the LEDs, which was made in the LED list. And the similar thing I did for red color. So the red value was 255 and green and blue were 0. So let's see this code and execution in action. Alright guys, so you can see that as soon as I press the W button, the random words were TAC. Now this is actually cat. So let's turn on the mic and say cat. And you can see that all the LEDs are turned to green. Let's see an example where I do this deliberately wrong. So now let's press this W button again and we see that ABT is the random word. So I know that it's bad, but I'm gonna say my boy. So let's turn on the mic and say my boy, and you can see that all the LEDs have turned to red. So this is how this game was made, guys. Isn't it amazing? So guys, I have one more interesting thing to share. You can actually run this project on your actual maker board as well. Let's see it in action. If I press the W button, I can see that A, C, T are the jumbled characters. So now what could it be? It's cat, right? So let me just turn on the mic and say cat. Okay, so you can see that all the LEDs are turned to green. So let me just pick another word. O, Y and B. So it's definitely boy, but I'm gonna say a different word just to show you that how this wrong part works. Hello. So you can see that all the LEDs turn to red. That actually was a roller coaster ride, right? So if you have a Wishkar maker board with yourself, why not give it a try? Don't worry, I will share the code in the description of this video. So thanks for watching and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Have a great day ahead. Bye.